Live from the virtual studio, I'm your host Pixel and this is One Good Thing in Games. As the year comes to a close, the news slows down. I want to take a step back from individual headlines and look at something bigger and generally encouraging. The quiet, steady, ongoing rise of indie games and how they're increasingly filling the gaps left by the modern AAA industry. This week, I went back and looked at the numbers. Taking every game rated 85% or higher on OpenCritic, I compared 2020 to 2025. So let's go back and take a look at 2020. As you can see, back then, indie games made up 45% of the highest rated releases. Now, if we go to this year, you can see that share has grown significantly to nearly 60%. As AAA development cycles stretch longer, budgets inflate, and risk tolerance shrinks, indie games are rapidly filling that space. Most of my personal highlights this year have come from indie releases. And rather than talk about the obvious headliners, incredible as Claire, Silksong, Hades 2, Peak, and Blueprints are, I want to spotlight a handful of games that just show how wide, confident, and experimental the indie space has become. And I start with The Seance of Blake Manor. The Seance of Blake Manor is a perfect example of quiet confidence. At a glance, it looks like a clean, stylish mystery, but mechanically, it does something much sharper. Time is your currency. Every action, every conversation, every look at any object advances the clock. Turn investigation into a constant trade-off between curiosity and consequence. Set in 1890s Ireland. And steeped in folklore and social tension, it avoids cheap scares in favour of atmosphere and restraint. And critically, it had top-tier reviews, making it the 4th best-rated game of the year on OpenCritic and appearing on multiple end-of-year lists. It may have come out a little late and overshadowed by Blueprints, but I really recommend checking this one out. Next we have Citizen Sleeper 2. Citizen Sleeper 2 shows something else entirely, refinement. It takes the foundation of the original and tightens everything. Now to focus, mechanical tension, emotional stakes. The familiar dice system returns and now bound to a stress system, making every decision feel risky in the best way possible. Instead of expanding just for scale, it deepens its ideas, more characters, more consequences, more moments that sit with you after the credits roll. It's a sequel that understands that growth doesn't mean losing your identity. And next up, coming in with a bang, Absalom. Absalom is about experience paying off. Critical Guard Games took what they learnt working on Streets of Rage 4 and applied it to something bolder, a roguelike beat-em-up that actually respects both genres. Combat is fast, readable, and aggressive. The different characters play differently enough, and the upgrades meaningfully change how you play. Visually, it is one of the most striking indie games of the year, expressive, hand-drawn, and confident in motion. This is best played with a friend or two, and I highly recommend it. And then, we have Despelote. Despelote is something else, something deeply personal. It's a semi-autobiographical game set in Ecuador, during the build-up to the country's first World Cup qualification, where football isn't the subject, but it's the atmosphere. It uses a moment to tell a story of a snapshot in time. There's no grand narrative. You walk streets, overhear conversations, kick a ball, and exist inside memory. Voiceover blends with impressionistic visuals to capture a specific time, place, and emotional truth. It appeared on multiple end-of-year lists not because it was flashy, because it trusted stillness, observation, and restraint. It's games like this that prove games still have so much untapped potential. We've only really scratched the surface in terms of the types of stories the medium can tell and the ways it can go about it. And lastly, there's Skate Story. A single developer project that took years to emerge and finally did in late 2025, but formed. Skating here isn't just about doing tricks. It's a movement. It's using movement as a feeling and as an expression. a way to drift through surreal spaces guided by music and mood. Everything coheres here. The low poly visuals, the hypnotic soundtrack, the loose expressive movement. You fully inhabit this space as you traverse the underworld on a mission for your own soul. Skate Story stands out by fully committing to this vibe, identity, and atmosphere. Indie developers are taking risks, telling personal stories, experimenting with form, and increasingly, they're being rewarded for it. But every year, so many gems go unnoticed. Please keep your mind open to new indie games. In a year where the industry has often felt uncertain, this is something worth celebrating. The activity is thriving, new voices are being heard, and great games are coming from everywhere. And that's this week's One Good Thing in Games.